September 4, 2025. Two Venezuelan F-16 fighter jets scream over the USS Jason Dunham in international waters. The destroyer's weapon systems track every movement but hold fire. 2 days earlier, the United States struck a Venezuelan boat in the Caribbean. Now Venezuela was sending a message. The United States Navy had already prepared a response that would shift the balance of power in the region. Space-based surveillance before contact. Satellites orbiting hundreds of miles above Earth track Venezuelan movements before any confrontation begins. United States Space Force reconnaissance satellites monitor the Caribbean continuously using synthetic aperture radar and electro-optical sensors that detect vessels leaving Venezuelan ports in real time. When Venezuelan F-16 taxied onto the runway at Libertador Air Base on September 4th, American satellites captured infrared signatures from their jet engines and transmitted data to United States Southern Command within seconds. The USS Jason Dunham received advance warning that Venezuelan aircraft were airborne and heading toward American naval forces. Signals intelligence satellites intercept Venezuelan military radio communications. When Venezuelan units increase radio traffic or switch to tactical frequencies, American analysts know an operation is starting. Counter-Narcotics operations context. The United States deployed naval forces to the Caribbean in August 2025, targeting drug trafficking networks. The Trump administration designated Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua as a foreign terrorist organization, linking it to maritime drug smuggling routes from Venezuela toward the United States. The administration doubled the reward for Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's arrest to $50 million. On September 2, 2025, American forces struck a boat in international waters carrying illegal narcotics. Video footage showed the boat being destroyed. The administration stated the vessel was operated by designated terrorist organizations. This marked the first publicly acknowledged American military strike of this type in the Caribbean in decades. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro condemned the operation as illegal aggression and mobilized military forces. Venezuela announced large-scale military exercises involving naval and air forces in direct response. Maduro characterized the American buildup as preparation for regime change rather than counter-narcotics work. Venezuela operates approximately 63,000 soldiers, 23,000 National Guard troops, and 15,000 Marines. The Venezuelan Navy deployed frigates, corvettes, missile boats, and patrol craft to coastal waters. Venezuelan Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez announced that naval vessels would patrol territorial waters and routes vital to oil exports. Venezuela also activated militia forces, claiming millions of civilians ready to mobilize, though observers noted many militia members are pensioners or civilians receiving government support for participation. Maduro ordered 15,000 Venezuelan troops to the Colombian border and imposed a nationwide ban on drone flights. USS Jason Dunham F-16 flyover incident. On September 4, 2025, two Venezuelan F-16 fighter jets conducted a low pass directly over the USS Jason Dunham, an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer in international waters. The Pentagon described it as highly provocative and designed to interfere with counter-narcotics operations. The aircraft were armed. The Dunham tracked both aircraft on SPY-1 radar from the moment they appeared, feeding targeting data to weapon systems. The Mark 45 gun on the forward deck rotated toward the incoming aircraft. Close-in weapon systems stood ready to engage. The commanding officer held fire. Venezuelan F-16s are more than 40 years old, purchased from the United States in the 1980s. Venezuela operates 3 F-16 single-seat fighters and 1 F-16 B-2-seat trainer. Years of sanctions have limited maintenance and spare parts. Using American-built aircraft for this confrontation carried symbolic weight. On September 5th, Venezuelan F-16s returned for a second flyover within weapons range. Again, the Dunham tracked but did not engage. Venezuelan naval boarding operations. On September 12, 2025, Venezuelan Foreign Minister Ivan Gil accused the United States Navy of illegally boarding a Venezuelan-flagged tuna fishing boat with 18 armed personnel who remained on the vessel for 8 hours. American forces inspected the boat under maritime interdiction authorities targeting drug trafficking. Boarding teams include sailors armed with rifles and sidearms, communications equipment, and documentation specialists who examine ship manifests and cargo. The 8-hour search included inspection of cargo holds, crew quarters, and concealed compartments where narcotics might be hidden. Venezuelan naval vessels arrived and escorted the boat away under protection. The United States maintains the boarding occurred in international waters where American forces have authority to inspect vessels engaged in illicit activities. Venezuela characterized it as illegal aggression in territorial waters. The incident demonstrated American willingness to physically board and search vessels despite Venezuelan objections. Venezuelan patrol boats and frigates began shadowing American destroyers more closely, positioning themselves to intercept future boarding teams. This created opportunities for miscalculation, where close-range encounters between armed vessels could escalate rapidly. Destroyer defensive posture. The Aegis combat system tracks hundreds of targets simultaneously using SPY-1 radar. 4 fixed radar arrays scan continuously, detecting aircraft at ranges exceeding 200 nautical miles. The Dunham carries 96 vertical launch system cells loaded with SM-2 surface-to-air missiles that engage aircraft at ranges beyond 90 nautical miles. The Mark 45 5-inch gun fires 20 rounds per minute with a 13 nautical mile range. The Phalanx close-in weapon system fires 4,500 rounds per minute from a 20mm Vulcan cannon. Electronic warfare systems monitor for radar emissions and can jam enemy targeting radars. During the Venezuelan flyovers, weapons stayed pointed but silent. Radars tracked but did not illuminate for missile guidance. No shots fired. Carrier Strike Group arrival. In November 2025, the USS Gerald R Ford Carrier Strike Group entered the Caribbean. This marked the largest American military buildup in Latin America since Operation Uphold Democracy in Haiti in 1994. The Ford is the world's most advanced aircraft carrier at 100,000 tons displacement. Its flight deck covers 4.5 acres and launches 75 aircraft. The Ford brought 5,000 sailors and an air wing including F-18 Super Hornets strike fighters, E-2 Hawkeye early warning aircraft, EA-18 Growler electronic warfare jets, and MH-60 Seahawk helicopters. Multiple Arleigh Burke-class destroyers and Ticonderoga-class cruisers accompanied the Ford. Total American naval presence reached 12,000 sailors and Marines across more than 10 major warships. Following the F-16 flyovers, the United States deployed 10 F-35 stealth fighter jets to Puerto Rico as part of counter-narcotics operations. The F-35s provide advanced air superiority capabilities and strike options if Venezuelan aircraft escalate confrontations. P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft operate from San Juan Airport, conducting long-range patrols across the eastern Caribbean. MQ-9 Reaper drones provide persistent reconnaissance over drug trafficking routes. The United States military began renovating Roosevelt Roads, a naval base in Puerto Rico abandoned in 2004. Upgrades include taxiway improvements enabling use by fighter jets and cargo planes. Changes were also observed at Rafael Hernandez Airport in Puerto Rico and Henry E. Rolson Airport in the United States Virgin Islands, suggesting preparation for sustained operations in the region. The Air Wing provides surveillance over vast ocean areas, intercept capabilities against Venezuelan aircraft, and strike power against land targets if ordered. The Ford's electromagnetic aircraft launch systems launch aircraft faster than traditional steam catapults, generating higher sortie rates for sustained operations. Submarine screen operations. At least one United States Navy attack submarine accompanied the Carrier Strike Group. The Navy never confirms submarine positions. Attack submarines operate 50 to 100 miles ahead of the carrier, screening for enemy submarines and surface vessels while remaining undetected. Virginia-class and Los Angeles-class attack submarines detect vessels at ranges exceeding 100 miles using passive sonar. They analyze sound signatures from propellers, engines, and hull movements without revealing their own positions. Mark 48 torpedoes travel at speeds exceeding 55 knots, with ranges beyond 25 miles. Submarines also carry Tomahawk cruise missiles that strike targets more than 1,000 miles away. Any Venezuelan submarine attempting to approach the carrier would be detected and tracked immediately. MH-60R Seahawk, Overwatch. Carrier strike groups and destroyers deploy MH-60R Seahawk helicopters for surveillance, anti-submarine warfare, and surface strikes. These helicopters extend sensor reach far beyond the horizon. Seahawks flew continuous patrols during heightened tensions with Venezuela. The MH-60R carries AN/APS-153 multi-mode radar detecting small surface contacts like patrol boats at ranges exceeding 150 nautical miles. For anti-submarine warfare, Seahawks deploy sonobuoys that listen for submarine engine noise. The AN/AQS-22 dipping sonar lowers a transducer on a cable into the water while the helicopter hovers overhead. Seahawks carry Mark 54 lightweight torpedoes and AGM-114 Hellfire missiles. During Caribbean operations, Seahawks remained armed and ready. The 12 nautical mile threshold. International maritime law establishes territorial waters extending 12 nautical miles from a nation's coastline. Within this zone, the coastal nation exercises full sovereignty. Beyond 12 nautical miles, international waters begin where any nation's vessels can transit without permission. When Venezuelan F-16 overflew the USS Jason Dunham, the destroyer operated in international waters. The United States had full legal authority to maintain course and conduct military operations. Venezuela protested that the American presence threatened its security, but international law supports warship operations in international waters regardless of proximity to foreign coastlines. Venezuelan patrol boats and frigates operate at the edge of their territorial waters, monitoring American warships that remain beyond the 12 nautical mile line. This creates a buffer zone where both sides demonstrate presence without entering legally sensitive areas. Deterrence by visibility strategy. The massive American naval presence operates under a deterrence by visibility strategy. Showing overwhelming force prevents adversaries from taking actions that would require military response. Carrier strike groups represent mobile air bases capable of launching sustained air campaigns, conducting missile strikes, and controlling vast ocean areas. The United States deliberately publicizes ship movements, releases photographs of carrier operations, and conducts exercises in full view of Venezuelan coastal radars. This transparency eliminates ambiguity about American capabilities and intentions. The strategy reassures regional allies that the United States maintains commitment to Caribbean security. Countries like Colombia, Panama, and Trinidad and Tobago watch American naval operations carefully. The carrier strike group's arrival demonstrated that America was prepared to maintain operations indefinitely. The concentration of high-value assets like aircraft carriers creates vulnerabilities where successful attacks could inflict significant losses. The carrier strike group addresses these risks through layered defenses including attack submarines, destroyer escorts, and continuous air patrols. Venezuelan forces conduct flybys and shadow American warships without crossing thresholds that would provoke military response. American destroyers maintain position in international waters, ready to defend themselves while avoiding actions that would give Venezuela justification for escalation. To understand how authority and responsibility are structured aboard those Navy warships, check out our breakdown. Every rank in the U.S. Navy explained in detail.